Can you believe this? I'm back. After so much time, I'm back. And today I don't have a lot to do because I don't have a lot of time. So I'm going to speedrun some of this thing. And speedrunning is just this new concept that I've found out, which is like you just go crazy fast on something. You just don't stop. So I'll go with I need the list of all the branches and I wanna move to this branch. I'm going to obviously get fetch. As you can see, I'm too bad at this. Though we are going to just install all of these dependencies because what I did was deleted the folder because I guess I'd have to, it just causes a lot of errors. Sometimes the intelligence would stop working while I'm working, and that is just a deal breaker for me. So I could have also pruned it, but I like to do things the hard way, I guess. Okay. Mm, what is happening? Uh, okay, let me just check out the command. I'll ask our good friend Chad, Giga Chat GPT. I think it is really helpful when you have to look up documentation and you don't really feel like you want to dive too much into it. Like like this feels like a very interactive sort of documentation where you have got some things at least that you can work with. Why won't that open? Till that time, I'll just also Google it. Okay, maybe I'll have to then open PowerShell. Why does it keep saying that? Okay, so I just changed the directory and maybe that is why I'm getting the errors. So I'll work on that later. Maybe I can just start the development server and we can look at some of the things that I need to do. But also I'd also like to check for updates if there are any. And also I'd want to update Svelte to the latest version. I'm using the release candidate, which is sort of like uh, the beta version of Svelte, and it's not ready for production yet. At least that is what they say. Now, even they know that a lot of people are using it in production and they don't have any problem with it. But let's just go with npm update Svelte at next. And Svelte at next is the package that gives us access to that whole thing. Okay, now we can just clear this out and look at some of the files that we have. In the source directory, I'll also run the development server. And this launches two basically commands, and one is the white server, which runs SvelteKit, gives you hot module reload, and the other is running on the port 9999, and this is slice machine, which is from Prismic CMS, and this is a command that they give you that you can just include in your package JSON to simplify things further. And we can look at some of the things over here. So if I go to the page section, I think I was done with this. I had crossed it off recently. I'll just open it up and I'll also just get the browser in here so that you can see what is actually happening when I'm working on this. I was able to also solve this whole section. So what I did was, this was a good solution for my use case. In fact, I went ahead and created a new slice, and this slice I called, I guess, showcase links. Yes. So this is the slice that I created. I had a module type, and an interesting thing that I'm doing over here is I'm getting the slice, which is all of the data that I need to render out this piece of content. So in Prismic, a component is basically called a slice. They could have actually called it a component. Why didn't they? Right? Right? Like, like why? It's just so many things that you have to remember now. And they could have actually made their brand on that whole thing. A content component. Oh, huge missed opportunity. They can hire me for marketing, I guess. I will take 6 figures salary with health benefits. And now we can, now I sort of just went with a general heading for the section. Then if there is a description provided, then I have that as well here. It will be rendered easily. But the interesting thing was here where I learned how to actually type some of these things in a way that was easier for me. So uh, this is kind of how it worked. Okay, so I went with slice.primary.content, and it gives me the item, but the type of item that I wanted, I wanted to sort of extend this type. So what I did was I used a variable assignment. So I created a new variable, and how this works is that this item link variable will be only available in this particular scope and nowhere else. Like every time on every loop, this item link is going to be reset, so you don't have to worry about the previous value of it. So while we are looping over this entire set, we are also typing out this whole thing so that we don't get type errors. Because if we don't define this type, what you'd see right now is that I'll start getting some sort of errors. Like Typescript will start complaining, and rightly so, because item link, which is item.link, does not have a data attribute. But as soon as I extend that with a data attribute, I'm good to go. The problem that I faced apart from this is that uh, and why I went with the any type is because I didn't want to spend too much time on typing out this API or content on how I was using it. Another thing that you'll note is that I'm using the square bracket syntax to access what I want over here. And I'm getting this context dynamically. So if we just go over to the and we just go over to the main page, and slice zone takes a context option as well. Now they aren't showing it here, but in their documentation they do show it. And basically, if you have uh, if how do I show you guys? So we can go to their docs, I guess. And we can look into the docs and see what kind of things they have over here. Now there's the authentication API and all of these things, but I'm going to go with the docs for SvelteKit, and then I can go ahead and go to the client, sorry, to Svelte, because that is where we'll find more about the slice zone. And here we have it. So we have the slice zone utility and we import it from Prismic IO Svelte library that we install. And then we can also import our slices. Now we can import all of the slices as components as we have done here. And when we pass this component over to the slice zone, it just works. But if we want to manually customize all of the slice zones or components that we want to use with this type of content, we can actually even specify independently each and every of these slices. So I don't know if this has a practical benefit, because I've been using it and there's no performance issue as of now. Uh, then within slice zone, we have to pass the slices, the array of slices that we have, and the components will then render on the basis of the name of the slice, and then that will correspond to the uh, slice that should be used with it. Again, name, and you can just do that, or you can simply pass in components as an object and it just maps automatically, so you don't have to do a lot of these things manually. And then you have the option to also pass context. Now context is going to be available to each and every component that we'll use. So all of the components, that is example slice A and example slice B, both of them will get this context data. And what I've passed to this data is, you can see exactly here. So I'm using the load function, the server load function, to pass the data from here. So I've got the title, description, then the image, and all of that goes into the context over here. And when I go over to the component, I can actually access that by going with context.title or context.description, right? And another thing is that I am defining these keys and I'm defining these objects as per the fields that I am actually fetching, and these are the additional keys that I am fetching. Now this is more of an advanced use case, but if you are using a simple content query, you won't have to spend so much time on typing these things out or figuring out how to make this work. In fact, in their starter tutorial for both SvelteKit and Next, they have defined a very easy, intuitive way of working with it. They don't even use TypeScript. So, yeah, I guess I wasn't able to show you guys this, but let's just see. This is what I'm talking about. So the server load function passes the context keys to the page, that is the front end, and we can access that from data.context keys, and we are passing that to each and every component that this slice is going to use, that this page is going to use, with the context object. And to access it, we can use the context object over here, and then just simply get the context dot title and each and every of those properties. Pretty cool. And why I had to do this is because I want to be able to use this slice with multiple different types of content. Like I don't want to it to be limited to just case studies. Let's say I have blog post and I just link them, then I'll be able to change the context keys over here. So in title, I guess instead of the company, it will just say title only, and that'll work most probably. Now, I primarily wanted to do this because I want to get into a habit of live streaming daily. Now, I get around 1.5 hours after office, so I guess I'll spend that time over here just getting through some of the work. But uh, I'm just not used to this, so my voice is getting hoarser and it's just getting worse. So maybe I'll recover some by tomorrow.